This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got a lot of important updates to share with you. $375 monthly checks are available for applications starting today. Governors are starting to deliver their own stimulus checks. And when it comes to COVID cases, they are on the decline and things are getting much better. Also, when it comes to Build Back Better and Joe Manchin and Manchin Sinema, I'll play a video clip of what the latest is going on with them as Democrats are trying to figure out the next game plan. And I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a more than mundane Monday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. So COVID Omicron news, cases dropping in many states, hospitalizations down too. Check out this latest video clip of how cases are much lower.
At the Cleveland Clinic ICU, the load was crushing. As one bed emptied, there was another patient right there to fill it. The National Guard and Air Force called in to help. Now, a different story. Across Cleveland Clinic's Ohio hospitals, the number of COVID patients has dropped from 1,200 to 393 in less than a month.
It's a significant relief right now.
Starting next week, elective procedures are back. The National Guard has moved out.
Overall, doctor, do you think the worst is now behind you?
I think so. I hope so. I hope we don't see another variant. And we'll remain optimistic.
It's a reflection of the encouraging numbers nationwide. A drop in new cases and hospitalizations down nearly 14%. But deaths, which lag behind, continue to rise in some places, with 31 states seeing an increase over the past 14 days.
The numbers tell us that we are likely looking at the rear view of the worst part of the surge. Still to be determined is, do we see another rebound with an increase in cases?
It comes as some places are dropping masks and restrictions. In Denver, the city's indoor mask mandate is set to expire this week. And in Orange County, Florida, the nation's 9th largest school district says starting this week, COVID concerns can no longer be used as an excuse for missing school. Tonight, experts are still cautious but encouraged.
I'm more optimistic today than I have been at any point since the pandemic emerged. We have better tools, better defenses, better information, and better ability to make sure that COVID doesn't dominate our lives. We have the best chance to get and keep the upper hand against this virus.
And Blaine joins us now from the CDC. So, Blaine, there is this good news overall, but some parts of the country still seeing cases rise.
Yeah, Kate, that's right. In fact, 20 states have seen some sort of an increase over the past 14 days, mostly states out west, with Montana being the highest at an 86% increase.
So what are your thoughts on all this? Is this good news? Are things much better in your area? Are you less worried, more worried? So if we look at the cases right here, we could see yesterday, January 30th, is the lowest it's been in a very long time, probably since almost 3 or 4 weeks or so. So yesterday it was new cases was 116,000, or actually, yeah, 116,000 new cases. 7-day average 522,000. So you can see it's much lower on the decline right now. And when it comes to the new variant, stealth variant, no cause for alarm, but could slow case decline. A mutated version of the Omicron variant could slow the steep decline in cases, but is not likely to change the overall course of the pandemic, scientists said. So with the new BA2 variant, it doesn't seem like it is that big of a concern to other people, but let me know, are you concerned about this? Is this bad for you? You don't care? Is everything as usual with you, with your life? Let me know down in the comments below. So time to act. You can apply for monthly $375 payments from tomorrow. See if you qualify. So this is going on actually today, January 31st. So in Birmingham, Alabama, they're accepting applications for their guaranteed income program, which is paying $375 a month for 1 year. And this is called Embrace Mothers, and this is for mothers living in Birmingham, Alabama. You can apply for it and get $375 per month. And governors are starting to deliver their own stimulus checks. So I went over this yesterday, how a lot of different states have a lot of different surpluses, and they're giving out checks between $350 all the way up to $850, some as low as $75. It all depends on the state, and all you would have to do is just file a a tax return and you get it. For example, Minnesota giving out $150 for single filers, $350 for married couples, and frontline workers could get $1,500 just from filing a tax return. This article doesn't have as much as it does as yesterday's video, so if you want, I think it was like 5 or 6 different states talking about the checks that you could get. You could check out that video from yesterday. And petition for additional stimulus checks continue to gather support. So this is talking about a few different petitions going on right now. So the main petition right here, this is the $2,000 per month to every American for a fourth stimulus check, currently at 3,027,000 signatures so far. And when it comes to these petitions, yes, it's gaining a lot, millions of people. That's just one of the biggest petitions that I showed you. But in terms of other petitions, I think they equal much more than 3 million, but it's still not enough to get a general fourth stimulus check. When it comes to this one, cash is coming. Stimulus check payment worth $1,400 to be sent to families from next month. See if you're eligible and how to claim. So this one, I'm just going to share with you all the articles that I come across on a daily basis. This one is very repetitive. If you had a baby born in 2021, then you get the $1,400 check for that baby, plus the child tax credit, which is $3,600, how it could be $5,000. And it always makes me wonder, what if you had triplets or quadruplets in 2021? That is like a $20,000 check right there. When it comes to Build Back Better, unspent funds color debate over additional pandemic relief. So a new request is sure to face questions about whether money is still in the pipeline. So Republicans are saying there's still money out there. There's no need for more pandemic relief. But the big question is, what about all the people who are really suffering on low income, SSI, Social Security, RRB, veterans? What about those groups of people? I'm sure maybe the majority of our country is probably much better off than they were a year ago, but there's still the low income families, low income singles, low income seniors who, have their families, have their kids, they're not getting access to all the stimulus money that was available. Those groups of people need a lot of help. When it comes to the Build Back Better, so Democrats put Build Back Better in Joe Manchin's court, as it was the whole time. They're basically giving up control to Joe Manchin, letting Joe Manchin figure out what he wants to put in, what he wants to go forward, which could drag things out a little longer. Take a look at this video clip right here, talking about the best way to handle Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema.
Democratic Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema are sticking with Republicans in defending the filibuster rules. Democrats were hoping the change would allow them to pass federal voting legislation, but the two Democrats would not budge. In an opinion piece for The Hill, Michael Starr Hopkins wrote, "It is time for President Biden to stand up to them." He said President Biden has, quote, allowed Senators Sinema and Manchin to hijack the agenda and threaten to destroy his presidency. And Michael Starr Hopkins is with me now. He's a Democratic strategist and the founding partner of the public relation firm Northern Star Strategies. Michael, woo, this is a spicy op-ed you wrote. My goodness, you say that that the president is from a different generation, and that's okay. But the problem is we're not in that generation anymore. Customs have been trampled on, norms have been shattered, and coups have been attempted. These are trying times, and this country's tolerance for polite society and kumbaya moral victories is over. And you take the president, you take Senator Sinema and Manchin and everybody else really to task for this. So the gloves are off, and you say that there are different strategies that the president should be applying to Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema. Talk to us about why you think the strategy for Senator Sinema should be primarying her among the Democrats, withdrawing all financial support. And for Manchin, you think challenge him, and if he switches parties, so be it. Tell us why.
Look, Senator Manchin has kind of held this threat over the Democratic Party that if we don't work with him, that if we don't allow him to shape policy, then he'll leave the party. Well, go ahead and leave the party then. You can't allow someone to hold a party hostage, especially when we have Republicans attempting to coup the government. I mean, when you have people on January 6th storming the Capitol to stop an election, and you then have Democrats talking about their friends with the very people who supported that, there's something wrong with this country. Kyrsten Sinema voted down healthcare legislation, and then proceeded on that very same day to go to a fundraiser where healthcare lobbyists gave her millions of dollars. The system's broken. And so it's time for Democrats to come out and say that it's broken and that we're going to do something about it and that we're going to fix it. And when these two senators are the precipice for why things are broken, the perfect example for why Americans don't trust our democracy, then we got to hold them accountable. And that's what I did in this column.
But explain the theory that you have about why it would be, if not fine, better to see Senator Manchin switch parties, which is something that most strategists say isn't going to happen. But why you think it'd be better for him to switch parties rather than remain a Democrat and, as you say, continue to insult the president and black voters? And you make it really personal in one point. You're talking about Manchin, when Manchin says Senate traditions are more important than making sure the children of Dr. Martin Luther King can still vote, or when Senator Sinema talks about how passing legislation that makes sure my grandmother can still vote is too divisive. Is there a benefit in having, you're a Democratic strategist, a Democrat still with that D and caucusing with Democrats, even if it means that they don't always agree?
Look, Senator Sinema and Senator Manchin vote with Democrats on over 80% of legislation, but that legislation is legislation that gets over 51% of the vote anyway. So Republicans are voting on most of that legislation in support of. But it's the important thing, it's the Voting Rights Act that really we're failing to see support from Manchin or Sinema. And that legislation is at its foundation what makes America great. You know, my grandmother was born before African Americans had the right to vote. She's lived through the Civil Rights Act and lived now through the first black president, and now risks seeing her not have the ability to vote because Democrats, not Republicans, but because Democrats believe that polite society, believe that being able to be supported by Republican lobbyists is more important than defending her right. Sinema should be primaried. Ruben Gallego should be the one to take that seat. And President Biden needs to not only commit to withdrawing funds from the DSCC, but needs to make sure the DNC isn't funding her, and needs to go to the top donors in the party in general, the big heavy hitters when it comes to donors, and tell them, if you donate to her, I will make sure that your life is a living hell, because that's what she's doing to African Americans all over the country.
And Michael, you argue that Senators Manchin and Sinema personally benefit from not supporting federal voting rights. How is that? Explain it.
Well, Senator Manchin, for example, is invested in coal companies in West Virginia. In Build Back Better and in the infrastructure bill, there is legislation which has to do with clean energy. If African Americans and more Americans across the country were given the right to vote, and by given I mean protected, their right protected, then Senator Manchin would not be able to benefit. The same is true with Senator Sinema. She would not be a senator if we protected the right to vote in states like Arizona. And so it is their support of legislation which restricts the right to vote. It's their support of really apartheid-style, Jim Crow-style legislation which makes them sitting senators. And if I have anything to do about it, if I think progressives and activists and people who care about democracy have anything to do about it, that won't be the future.
So what are your thoughts on that? Is anything ever going to get done regarding the Build Back Better and providing more relief to the American people? What about Joe Manchin? What about Kyrsten Sinema? What can be done about them? Let me know what you think a creative solution can be that maybe these politicians aren't even thinking about yet. Let me know down in the comments below. And that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully cheer you up a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, it's Bella tip of the day. I want to tell you the one thing that you should do. Do the things that scare you the most, because after you do that, you become a better person. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate your support. Thank you for being a part of the Wise Flies community. Thank you for your views, your comments, your likes, subscribing. Really means a lot to me and the Wise Flies community. And if you want more videos like this, subscribe. I'm giving you any news that I find on a daily basis. It may not be the news you want to hear, but I just want to be the messenger and deliver it to you in a neutral way where I'm not biased, not Republican, not Democrat, but just giving you the news and let you think of of the way that you want it to, unfiltered. So if you want to check out my latest video, my other channels, I have a few different other channels. You can click up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.